gonna show you how I make these scans here. I mean, I don't make them, but from this piece here that I downloaded, I wanted to show you how to clean it up inside Unreal so you can have some modular pieces here. So if you see what I have this piece here. Let me just delete this one. It's a little bit heavy, my procedural thing. There you go. So I have this one. It's a complete, it is modular piece. You can still break it into more parts if you want it. And also I have this little house here that I can use in my projects. I can just drag and drop here. The pivot point, it's in place, so it's like easy to use. And from this scan, you got one element here and another element here. And I want to remove all the ground, which is what I want. Okay, so let's get started. First off, how do you download these assets? Well, if you check here, you can go to Sketchfab, and I have some favorites here. Okay, so if you go to Sketchfab, you have a bunch of models. You can put like abandoned building. You don't necessarily will find the same one as I did, but you want to find some things like this where you have the download button here, which means you can download for free. And if you want to take a look at this before you download, you can just click on it and it will just download the 3D model in your viewport, and there you have it. Okay, so you can do the same process for pretty much everything. And as you can see, there are a lot of free assets here that you can use. Not only the paid ones, you also have some free assets, which the quality is not like amazing, but in some cases it can be good enough. Like I really like this one, for example. I think this is what I tried to find at the beginning. I really like it. And this is not a scan. Obviously, this is model. You can see it because it's like full of cubes, but it still is nice. It's a nice asset, right? So what I did was just to download this one. Okay, you can just go here and click on download 3D model, and there will be a bunch of options here that you can use. Typically, I like to go for FBX or OBJ if you have the chance. So you just click download. Okay, I already download, so I won't download in the stream. And you have things like this where you have your model, your normal map, your ambient occlusion, and all this stuff. Let's import this into Unreal. Okay. So I already have one here. So what I will do is just to create a new folder called as scan, just so that you can see what's the process. First thing, you're gonna click import. Okay, and now you're gonna choose the model, only the model. You don't need to choose the textures. And here you can use. You don't want to build Nanite because some assets in Sketchfab, most of them, in my opinion, they come really small, and you want to fix this. We will do that in the future. Don't build Nanite yet. Create new materials. Yeah, you can create new materials and import the textures. Import all, and it will take some time to load here. Actually, it loads pretty fast. So let's save it. It was much faster than I expected. So this model doesn't have much triangles, so it shouldn't be an issue. Okay, as you can see, when I drag the model here, like one thing is upside down. So with the E key, we can just rotate it. And you can see that it's black, right? And if I go to my wireframe mode, you can see that I have my house here. It's just super small. This is what I mean why you don't want to build Nanite yet. So let's fix the size first and the rotation. In order to do that, I'm gonna go to my modeling tools, and I'm just going to scale this like 10, 50, 100. What kind of size do you think this will be? Typically, you want to put the character there to check the size. Like 150 looks like a nice number. It should be okay. So now we're gonna go here to the transform and go to bake, rotation, and scale. Click on accept. And as soon as you do that, you will see that the rotation here will go to 0, and the scale, instead of being 150, it will become to 1 by default. Okay, well, there you go. Now you have it. Now, it looks black because the material is black, so let's double click on this to check what's going on. So if you don't have this, it's because you don't have the substrate legacy conversion. I enabled this by in this project, but you don't need to. Only focus on this is a texture, this is the base color, and this is the normal map. Okay, so this goes to the base color, the normal map. Just hit apply. I don't know why default it came black. Maybe it's because of the subtract new thing. And in case you're wondering, it's a new way to create materials, which can allow you to create like different types of complexities very easy compared to before, right? But that's another topic for another day. What can I do here? Well, I can just at this point, if I double click on this and I go to my static mesh mode, I can enable Nanite if I want it, right? But I won't do it yet because I don't want to build the Nanite each time I do changes. What we need to do now is to separate this mesh from the ground. And there are several ways of doing this. Like if you go to modeling, you can go to triangle selection, for example, and you can just use the brush and just like delete parts where, I don't know, of the mesh that you're not using, something like that, for example. That can be one case. You notice that there are some floating things here. You don't really want them. So make sure you click on those and delete them. But in our case, we're not going to do that. Okay, let's just cancel. There's a better way to do it. And I'm going to create a box here. I'm just going to put it here. Accept. And now I'm just going to try to put the boundaries of the box in position. So I will just put it here. And with my poly edit, I can just go back, select one face and move it like this. I can select up, move it like that. And just by doing that, like I'm having like a bounding box where I can select the mesh that I want, right? I can go for the chair too. And now if this one is like you want to adjust it even more, you can change the vertices. You can click on those and move them. Okay. And that's typically what you want to do. In my case, I will just go a little bit lower because it's better to have the ground in some cases. So I will just move this here. And in this case, I don't want to move the whole face. I'm just going to click on the edge and move it like this so I can make sure you have everything there. Okay. So I will just click accept. This will be my envelope for isolating this part of the model. So what I can do is click on this and then click on this box, and then I can go to mesh Boolean. Okay, by default, you will have the difference between A and B, which A will be the first object you selected, B will be the second object you selected. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. So what you want to do is to try different modes. I believe intersection is what we're looking for. It's the, the intersection of both. And looks like it is. Look, it really looks like it is. So, and the output type, I will put from input, which is a static mesh, right to a new object. And this will be called my small house. What about the inputs? I want to keep the inputs. I want to keep all the inputs. Click accept. And it will take some time to make the Boolean. Okay. So now that we have it, we can move this thing here. And now you can move your house here. It's great. So now you have your house. Now there is a problem here. One issue that we have is that the pivot point is here, and it's a little bit annoying to work with this kind of stuff. So very easy, we can just go to pivot point here, and we can go bottom. And if this happens, that means there is something floating around here, and we're gonna deal with that later. For now, you can just move the pivot point where you want. For example, here. Try to move it a little bit above the ground so that when you drag it, let me press Ctrl B to open the content browser. When I drag it, everything is like nice in the ground. I should go even lower like this, right? So if I want to do that, I can just go to my pivot point and make it a little bit higher. Accept. And now let me try to drag and drop this. Ctrl B. There you go. So now you have your little house here. That's great. Don't worry about the intersections. Where there are a lot of elements, you don't really see them. Now, the problem about this type of scans, sometimes things are floating. So in this case, you can go for a triangle selection and go for 0.1 size and click on those to make sure you can delete them. Shift click to deselect. Let me try to click on one of these. Really, not this one. Let me just shift click here. I will just delete those. That's pretty much it. Now, there may be some objects floating around. In this case, I can just change my brush to all connected and click on here. And then I can invert and I can delete. And this should take care of floating geometry that is not connected to this one, which is what typically you can find in assets like this, where usually they're free, the quality is not that good, and they're not cleanup. That's why we're doing a cleanup ourselves. So how would you go about doing this to an object like this? Well, you can just use the same cube. I will just move it here into position. This one is a little bit more complex, but it's using the same principles I just show you. And just go here. And for the top, you don't really need to be like super precise, where you can just make the cube like this, because in the air, the only thing that we want is that the cube is like on top of the mesh. So we can just move this thing like that. We can move specific edges for something like this. And in this case, I can even move further. Yeah, I can move further. Something like that. Make sure nothing is floating here. If I go here, yeah, that was a little bit too much. So let me just go here. Now, what do you do here? Well, first, make sure you have everything. Go to here. Make sure nothing is outside of this box. That's really important. And click accept. Now, what you can do is to add some edges here. So I will go to the poly edit and I will just go to, where's my insert loop? Insert edge loop, and I can just click here, one, and click here, another one. Accept. Okay, and now you can just go to poly edit, click here, and then go to extrude, and make sure everything is inside the box. Okay, and this part, also make sure like you have the ground. You don't want your stairs to be floating. It's okay if we have a little bit of the ground. You can see this kind of stuff happening a lot with megascans. That's normal. Yeah, that should be good enough. Let me just put another edge loop here. Accept, and just so that I can just move this edge loop, and actually I will just put this thing here. There you go. And I will just move this like this, my edge, and just move it here. There you go. So this looks good enough to me. I don't really want to get this piece, although you can. Like for example, this is what I mean. Make sure everything is there. Do not leave anything like that. There you go. Also here, it doesn't matter if your box is ugly or not. There you go. So now that you have this, we're gonna repeat the same process. We're gonna click on this. I click on this box. We're gonna go to mesh bool. Now wait a little bit. Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. Let's check. Looks okay to me. It's quite nice actually. So I will just accept. I already have my this like my big house, and keep inputs. Yes. Okay, just accept. And this will allow us to have a new mesh for us, just like we did before. Now, I show you this example because even though it was the same process, it was a little bit more complicated than the other one. So now we can go here. And what I can do is to go to the pivot point. You can go to the bottom. I could just put it like here. I can move it up if I wanted, just so that the pivot point, when I drag it, you don't see the floor. Usually what you want is that. So let me just go here. Where is this content saved? Okay. It's just here. Where's my big house? Small house, big house. This one. A little bit too much, right? So if that happens, just go to the pivot point, move it down a little bit, accept. And now I can just drag this thing here. just a little bit, something like that. Let me just delete this. And now we have our two objects. Now, a couple of things we need to do first. We do Nanite. If you check this house, like the normals are a little bit funny. So what I can do is just click on this and you will see that it's very dark inside, right? So I can just go here and go to attributes. And just by using the default settings, I already have a good result. So you can change this to normal threshold to have like sharper edges if you want. In my case, I will just leave it like that. And I'm going to do the same here. You will see that here is very, very dark. And when I go to the normals, a little bit brighter. And if you want to make it like really harsh, you can just go to the normal threshold and put like 20 here. If you want, if you put like 180, it will become like very smooth. But it's like you can go for 30 if you want. There you go. So now we have our modular pieces. Let's just double click on this. And here you want to enable Nanite. Apply changes. And you see that I have another material here, which I don't want. So it would be very easy to remove. Okay, let's just go back here to attributes, material edit, and you will see that you have two materials. Just delete this one. Accept, yes. You can delete it there. You can do the same thing here. Go to materials and then delete this one. Sorry, not duplicate, delete. What you can do here is basically like select parts of the stuff like this, for example, and apply a new material. So it's very useful. Actually, a lot of these operations you will do like in Blender or 3ds Max or Maya. It's faster if you can do it in Unreal. You can take a look at how it really will look like inside the editor. So now that we have this, we're pretty much finished, actually. We just need to double click on this and enable Nanite, apply changes. And there you go. Now you have it. A Nanite mesh. And also you can go here and create collision. And go to complex and remove the complex collision as simple. You want to use project default because what it does by default, let me just increase this number because I see that my collision is like very big. By default, it will put complex collision on your meshes, which are very heavy. Each polygon will be counted as collision, and that's very heavy for games. It's good for prototyping because you don't need to add a collision every time you do some things. But you can go here to collision complexity and put on project default, and you should be good to go. For bigger objects, you may want to have like different collision. Like here, for example, you have the complex collision, which I don't want. It will make my game very heavy. And that's pretty much it for the scene itself. Now you can go and add like I have some procedural things that I have done here. Like for example, I have this, where I can just drag it and I can have my background. I can just change the seed until I have something I like. I can, and because this asset the way you want to work with assets, I'm gonna go for the top-down view. The way you want to work with assets is like a cube, right? Each side will show a different asset. It's not like this is one asset and it has one meaning. Not at all. I'm gonna show you why. I can assemble a scene and I can rotate this 180 degrees and put it here. I can make it like this. And you will think that maybe it's another house. Maybe it's just destroyed. Okay, let me just click here. Move this part. And you can do the same here for these assets. Let me just remove this for now. We don't really need it. I can go here. I can duplicate. And I can just put it like this. And if I want, I can duplicate this one. And I can go here, make it a little bit taller. And you will think that it's another one. Right? Same thing here. You have another side. You can just rotate this like this. And you will see that you have another face. You can just put it here if you want. And this is how you have something like, you know, it is really nice. It is really nice to work this way. So the more assets you have, the easier it will be for you to assemble a scene, right? But even with one asset, you can already do a lot, okay? Now, this is pretty much what I wanted to show you. But since the stream got like really fast, I want to show you a little trick. I was creating this fence here. Okay, just move this. So what I have here is basically a spline. And I can just move it like this. And I can just create my fence, right? I will show you how I create it. It's very simple, actually. So maybe we can put a fence here. Okay, so let's start. Let's go to our test scan here. We will create everything here. Let's create a blueprint class. And I will call this, it's just actor, okay? Just call that actor. I will call it BP spline simple. I will save it, double click on this. It will open in my new window. I can just click here. And now I can just put a spline mesh here. Spline, just a spline. That's all I need to do. So if I drag the blueprint here, I can just drag this spline, move it. And if I hold Alt, I can just duplicate it. I can just keep doing something like this until I have like, I don't know, a little fence for me. I can just rotate it if I want. There you go. So what you can do with this is basically you can spawn some meshes here using the procedural tools. Now, if you want to use them, you can go to here, type procedural and procedural content generation framework. I already have it, so I won't click on it. But if you do, you will need to restart. And let's create, right click. Let's go to PCG graph. I can just click on this and PCG live stream fence. And I can double click on this. And you will see that you have a graph like this. I will remove the camera so you can take a look at all the properties here. Now, what you want to have is an input. And you need a spline, get a spline data. Now, how does this actor know that you have this spline? First, let's put it in the world so you can see what's going on. Let's put it here. Okay, that's our procedural component. Now I want to spawn some meshes. Okay, so what I can do, actually, let's put another node here. Let's call spline sampler, and let's just put it like this. And then you can press tab and type static mesh spawner. And I already have a fence here from Megascans. Let's go here. It should be this one. Mesh entries, click plus, go here, and then click the arrow button. And let's see what happens. So as you can see, my fence is not there. And the reason it's not there is because I haven't told the procedural component that this spline is actually the spline that you want to take a look at when you spawn things. So when you click on this, get spline data, you can put an actor filter. And in the actor filter, you can put all world actors. Okay, there's another thing you need to do. If you put by tag, okay, and you put none, it will search for a tag like either name, none, I guess. Okay, so everything can have a tag here. If I go here and press tag, type tag, you can see that you have component tags here. It's a way for you to tag specific types of actors in your game. So what you can do, instead of going here and put the tag, you can just put it on the blueprint itself. You can click here, type tag, and then click here, and then I can just put like, I don't know, test. And now I can put my test. So what will happen now is that this thing will be recognized as a test. If I put like test2, it has another tag, so it won't be recognized. So let me just type test here. And now you have a fence. Now, there are multiple ways you can do this thing. And let's start by showing you how to arrange this. If you go here to the spline sample, you have the subdivisions. So if you increase the subdivisions, for example, like 3, you will have something like this. But you will notice that the shorter the spline, the more subdivisions it has. So for this kind of case, it won't work that well. So what I can do is, instead of putting subdivisions, I can put distance, and I can check here. If I hover on this mesh, I can check how big or how small it is. This size, it says, is 302 centimeters on X. So I will go for 302 centimeters. And there you go. If you want to be like, adjust things a little bit, you can just put like 295, for example, and it will make everything like, you know, closer to each other. It's just a matter of clicking stuff. Now, what if the case I have my landscape, and what I will do is just to sculpt something here. Not that much, just a little bit. Okay, so you see that my spline, it's only following, the spline, and it's not really following the mesh. So instead of going here and, going up like this and try to fix it manually, there is something you can do in the procedural component that can make you, project the things. So I believe it's called project. Yeah, projection. So you will project these points into the landscape. Let's just put the output here. And you can just click here. And what you will have now, it's your mesh is in the right position. The problem is the mesh is also projecting the rotation of the landscape. So each landscape has a polygon, and each polygon has like some normals and everything. If you change it, like it will definitely change. So it's following the direction of the landscape. So naturally, when you get to this kind of case where you want to rotate, they will all look in the same direction, right? It's like just here. It's the x-axis. So it's very simple to fix. Just go here, and in the projection, you don't want to project rotations. There you go. And now it's fine. Now what I can do is to go to my spline, and it doesn't matter where I put it, if it's up or down. I can just go back here, and it will always follow your spline. I can just go here, and if I want, I can add another spline. I can move things like this. There you go. I have a little fence for my house. So there are a lot of things you can do with procedural components, like this one, for example. If you want to take a look at how I made this example here, you can just go, and I will put a link in the description where you can watch the stream where I do it. Actually, we have a video on it too. And you can take a look at how we create this from scratch, and I will go into all the details here. Okay. So what else you can do here? You could close the spline if you want, because I know some people will be thinking like, hey, what if I want to close my spline? You just need to go to your, let's just click on the spline here. A little bit hard to choose. There you go. So this is my spline. And there is an option here for closed loop. You just need to click on that. And now you have a closed loop there. Now it will try to close as best as it can. So it will be better. It's like you kind of close it yourself, and then you just can just add a spline point here if you want to tweak it. You can add another one here. There you go. It will be the best if you do this kind of changes, but if you want to close it, you can definitely can. You just need to tell the spline to close it. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I will try to do more and more live streams in the future. I kind of run out of ideas sometimes, so if you have any idea, let me know in the comments in the video. I read all of them, trust me. Sometimes there are a lot, but we really read your comments. So if you have any idea, just let me know, and I will do it in the live stream next time. So if you want to also learn more, make sure to check our website where we show you how to create an action game from scratch. And you can start the first lesson for free. You can start right now, and you can check if it's something like it will benefit you or not. I will put a link there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Subscribe for more. If this is the first time you come and you want to learn more about game development, subscribe to learn more things about Unreal. We have a lot of things like programming, environments, VFX, animations. We have so many things here that you can just grab for free and kickstart your journey creating games.